Hello guys, welcome to Tech Vitals. Today we are going to learn about the firewalls in Linux. A firewall is a method for monitoring and filtering incoming and outgoing network traffic. It works by defining a set of security rules that determine whether to allow or block specific traffic. A properly configured firewall is one of the most important aspects of overall system security. In the Linux, firewall uses the concepts of zones and services. Based on the zones and services, you can control what traffic is allowed or blocked to and from the system. To check if the firewall is running or not, we can use the command Systemctl status firewall-d. Press the enter, and as you can see, the firewall is inactive right now, so it's not running. And to activate the firewall, you can use the command systemctl start firewall-d. And now if you check the status of firewall again, now you can see now it's active and running. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, the firewall uses the concepts of zones. So we have different zones here. So if we type firewall-cmd --get -zones and press the enter, then you can see these are the zones of firewall: block, Dmz, drop, external, home, internal, public, trusted, and work. These firewall zones are predefined sets of rules that specify the level of trust of the networks your computer is connected to. You can assign network interfaces and sources to a zone. I'll briefly explain about all of these zones. So let's start with the block zone. In the block zone, all the incoming connections are rejected and only outgoing connections are allowed. The Dmz zone, that is demilitarized zone, is used for computers located in your demilitarized zone that have limited access to the rest of your network, so only selected incoming connections are allowed in this zone. In the drop zone, all incoming connections are dropped without any notification. Only outgoing connections are allowed. The external zone is used for the external networks with NAT masquerading enabled when your system acts as a gateway or router. Here, only selected incoming connections are allowed. The home zone is used for the home machines. Other computers on the network are generally trusted and only selected incoming connections are allowed. The internal zone is for the use on the internal networks when your system acts as a gateway or router. Other systems on the network are generally trusted and only selected incoming connections are allowed. The public zone is used for the untrusted public areas. You do not trust other computers on the network, but you can allow selected incoming connections. In the trusted zone, all network connections are accepted and you trust all of the computers in the network, so it is used very rarely and very securely. And finally, the work zone is used for the work machines, for example in your office. Here, other computers on the network are generally trusted and only the selected incoming connections are allowed. Here, we can check what is the default zone that we are using currently. So if we type firewall-cmd -get default zone, then you can see the public zone is the default zone that we are using currently. So if you want to see what are the rules that are defined for this public zone, you can type firewall-cmd -list-all. If you press the enter, sorry, I have to use the sudo command here because it asks for the super user privilege. Now if you type the password of John, then you can see the public zone is active right now and it's the default zone. So in this machine, we only have one interface, that is ENP0S3, and that interface is connected with this public zone. These are the services that are allowed for our public zone. You can see SSH, HTTPS, HTTP. These are the Apache web servers, and we have been using with the SSH service for the couple of our earlier videos, and these ports are allowed in this public zone. So this 1424 is our SSH port. We changed the SSH port into 1424 in one of our videos, and this 80 is the port number of this HTTP or the Apache server. So all of these are the rules that are defined for this public zone. Now if you want to see the rules for other zones, you can type sudo firewall-cmd -- zone equals, let's say, the home zone, and then list all. So these are the rules that are defined for the home zone, and you can see there is no interface connected to our home zone. A single interface can only be provided with just one zone, so we cannot provide this ENP0S3 interface for both of these zones. So if we connect this interface to home zone, then this interface will move from public zone to home zone. So let's try that. Let's type firewall-cmd -- zone equals home -- change -interface equals the name of the interface, that is ENP0S3. Let's press the enter. Now it says success. So now if we check the rule in the public zone, that is sudo firewall-cmd -- zone equals public -- list -all, then you can see now the ENP0S3 interface is no more connected with the public zone. And if we check the rule of home zone, then you can see this ENP0S3 has been connected with this home zone. And you can also notice that when the interface was connected with the public zone, this public zone was active. But now since we moved this interface to our home zone, the public zone is not active anymore, but the home zone is active right now. So the zone with the interface will be the one that will be activated. Now if we restart the firewall again using the firewall-cmd -- reload, before restarting the firewall, the interface was in the home zone, and now after restarting the firewall, if we check the rules of the home zone, then you can see the interface is not in the home zone, but the interface is back in the public zone. That is because this command firewall-cmd zone home change interface will only change the interface in the real time. So if we restart the firewall, then the changes will be erased. So to make it permanent, we have to add -- permanent. Now if we check the list of home zone, the interface is in the home zone and it's activate. And now let's restart the firewall. And again, if we check the rules of home zone, then you can see the interface is still in the home zone because we made it permanent. Now if you want to move this interface in the public zone again, you can use the same command, firewall-cmd zone equals public, and we have to add -- then -- change -interface equals enp0s3, and we have to make it permanent. Press the enter, and now public zone will be activate, as you can see. Now let's talk about the services. So these are the services that are currently allowed for the public zone, but if you want to see the list of all the services that we can add in this home zone, you can type firewall-cmd --get -services. Let's press the enter. So all of these are the services that we can add for any zone, and all these services have their individual XML file. Those XML files are located inside /user/lib/firewallD/services. Now if you check the list, then these are the XML file for all of those services. So let's clear the screen, and let's again see all the services that we have in our default zone, that is the public zone. So here, if you don't want any other machine to connect to this machine using the SSH, then you can simply remove the SSH service from your firewall zone. So to do that, type firewall-cmd. We are in the public zone, so let's give the public zone and type --remove -service equals SSH. Let's press the enter. Okay, now if we check the rules of public zone, then you can see we just removed the SSH service. So now the other computers cannot connect to our computer through the SSH. And you can also see here in the public zone we have added HTTP and HTTPS service. That's the Apache web server. So if we remove this HTTP and HTTPS, then we will also not be able to connect to our Apache service. So to remove this service, you can use the same command, remove service, and you can type the name of service, that is HTTP and then HTTPS. And to add the service, you can just replace this remove with add. So the command is --add -service for the particular zone. And since we removed the SSH service in our public zone, we can add the SSH service back using the add service attribute. So let's press the enter. And if you check the rules, then this SSH service is back again. So now other computers can connect to this machine through the SSH or the secure shell. And when you try to add or remove the service permanently, then you also have to add --permanent attribute in the command. Now let's talk about port number. Here we have this 1424 port number, that is the SSH port number, because in one of the earlier videos we changed the default port number of SSH. So as you know, the default port number of SSH is 22, but in this machine we have changed the port number from 22 to 1424, and since the firewall is activate, we have to add that port number in our current zone. Otherwise the other computers cannot connect to our computer using this port number. You can remove that port number using firewall-cmd -zone public and then -remove port equals 1424. Let's press the enter. Oh, my bad. I also have to type /tcp that is the transmission control protocol. Now let's press the enter. Okay, so now if we check the rules, then the 1424 port number is no more in the public zone. Now to add the port number back, you can use the same command. Just replace this remove with add and press the enter. And if you check the list of rules, then this 1424 port number is added back. And one of the interesting attributes is this rich rules, and we can use this rich rules to allow or deny specific IP address or specific computer to use the services we have in this public zone or whatever zone that we are currently using. So let's see the example. Let's type firewall-cmd, zone is public, and type add rich rule equals, give the single quote, type rule family equals IPv4, source address equals, let's say 192.168.7.177/24 space reject, and then close the single quote and press the enter. Okay, so here what we have done is, for this specific IP address, we have rejected all of these services. So that means the computer with this IP address will not be able to use any of these services that we have in this zone. So if we check the list of the rules, then you can see the rich rule has been added. Since we didn't make the rule permanent, if we reload the firewall using firewall-cmd reload, so as you can see, the rich rule is not here anymore. So now let's add the rich rule again. So in the previous rich rule, we rejected or we denied all of the services for this particular IP. But if you want this IP to be able to use some of this service, you can just type service name equals, so let's say you want to allow that IP to use the SSH service, type SSH and then type accept. So here in the service name, you have to give the name of the service. So we have given SSH, then type accept and then close the single quote, and you can press the enter. And now if you check the list, then you can see for this particular IP, we have accepted the SSH service. That is, the computer with this IP address can only use the SSH service in our machine. So using this rich rule, you can determine what services you want to allow and deny for the remote host. And you can also add multiple rich rules. So now you can use the same rich rule for some different IP. So instead of 7.177, now let's give this rule to 187 and press the enter. And if you check the list, then you can see now we have 2 rich rules. So you can add as many rich rules as you want. And one more thing that I want to talk about is the panic mode. So let's say if the intruder or a hacker accessed into your system, you can use the panic mode. So you can type sudo firewall-cmd --panic -on. So when you use this command and press the enter, then all the computers that are connected with this computer will lose the connection with this computer because we just enabled the panic mode. So if I press enter, you can see because we have enabled the panic mode, we have lost the connection with our virtual machine from this mobile external application. So in the virtual machine, we need to disable the panic mode. So let's type firewall-cmd --panic-off. Let's press the enter and give the password. So now we have disabled the panic mode, and now we should be able to connect to this virtual machine with our mobile external application. And as you can see, we are back in the virtual machine. So if there's a hacker trying to get the information of your computer, then you can use this panic mode so that all the computers that are connected with your computer will lose the connection. And if you want to turn off your firewall, you can type Systemctl stop FirewallD and press the enter. And now if you check the status of firewall, then you can see the firewall is inactive. And to enable it back or to activate it again, you can type Systemctl start FirewallD and press the enter. And if you check the status, then it's active and running again. And you can also see enabled here. So enable means your firewall service will run automatically when you reboot the system. So if you don't want your firewall service to run automatically every time you reboot the system, you can just use Systemctl disable FirewallD. Okay, now if you check the status, then you can see it's running right now, but it's disabled. So if you reboot the system, then the firewall will not run automatically. You have to manually activate or turn on the firewall. But if you want the firewall service to run automatically every time you reboot the system, then you can type Systemctl enable FirewallD. Okay, now you can see it's enabled and it's active and running. Alright, so that's about the firewall, and that's gonna do it for this video. I'll see you soon with the next video. Till then, keep learning. Goodbye.